There he is, Marty. What's up, man?
What's up,
Hey,
Marty?
guys. Sammy Adams, what's going on, gentlemen?
Hey,
Thanks for joining us.
great to have you
Absolutely.
here. Why is
Great to
everybody
be
so
here.
why is everybody so injured, Marty? This is really annoying. So Jamie
It's a barbaric game, but it's a barbaric.
it really is.
Bigger, stronger, faster every year.
And that's why I quit in college. I was Miami was like, listen, dude, we need a linebacker. I was like, I'm sorry, I can't. I just too many injuries. I just can't do it. But Devon
What happened when the men's team asked you to play?
All right, let's go. Let's go.
I know, right?
The gloves are off. Let's go.
Shots fired. So Jamie said he moved Devon Achane into the second round. He's got this calf injury that Mike McDaniel's downplaying a little bit. But
Yeah.
what do you think about this Devon Achane situation?
Well, listen, his explosive speed, right, is what made him one of the most important parts of the offense for Miami, right? I mean, he's an incredible athlete, but now he's dealing with this calf strain that affects push off. It affects his explosiveness, and it definitely affects his change of direction. Simply put, calf tears, they're slow to heal. It's that simple. If you're too aggressive with coming back, it could become a chronic problem or even worse. Uh, Predispose you to an Achilles tear, and we can't have that. Here's our problem: we only have 2.5 weeks left before week one. If you come back too early, his injury risk is very high. All right, I do not expect him to be ready for week one. I actually fully expect him to miss possibly the first 3 weeks of the season. It's just not worth it. It's just not worth it because if he does tear his calf again or potentially his Achilles, that affects his entire career. So they got to be slow with this one. No question about it.
Wow, that's pretty telling.
Somebody's asking who, I can understand people, you might be kind of lost. A lot of names going on. We were talking about Devon Achane right there. So that's a big one. He's expecting. Marty says, take it slow with the calf injury. He wouldn't be surprised if Achane misses up to 3 games. All right, Jamie, we're next with McCaffrey here.
Yeah, Marty. So obviously, we'll go from a slight negative to a slight positive. McCaffrey last year dealing with the calf injury, had the knee injury as well. Once he came back, only played 4 games. Seems like it's all systems go. He's 29 years old, but all the reports have been positive. So just in your tracking McCaffrey from afar, how encouraged are you by his recovery from last year's injuries?
Well, without question, Jamie, he's a polarizing player. CMC's health is trending in the right direction. So is his draft stock. But let's be honest, his injury history, his availability, his longevity all come into question. Knee injury, calf injury, Achilles injury. Yes, he is healthy, but he has a lot of mileage on those legs. Okay. My issue is if he's healthy, he's going to have one of the highest target volumes of any player in the NFL, right? Maybe 20 to 25 touches per game. But because of that injury history, because of that mileage, I actually expect issues with his recovery week to week. And we actually might see his efficiency yo-yo up and down based on his recovery. That's my biggest concern here. But he has worked so hard to get healthy. But man, a healthy CMC, man, that's brings music to every fantasy manager.
It does. It's going to be a risk tolerance thing, Jamie.
Yeah, I think it's also interesting given the health of the backups there, because how much work will they give to somebody else to take off of his plate? You got Jordan James with the finger injury, Isaac Grendel with the shoulder injury. They just lost Patrick Taylor for who knows how long. He got banged up in their preseason game. So we'll find out. I would imagine they're going to want to give some work to somebody else. So hopefully all those guys are a little bit of a healthier standpoint. So we'll see what goes on there.
And that's a great point, Jamie, because the backups are really backups, right? And their injury status is only putting the spotlight on CMC yet again. I wouldn't be surprised if we see glimpses of 2023 this year.
Oh man, I'm hoping for more. I'm hoping for just 2023. I don't want glimpses. I want the whole thing. I'm going to give you a 2-for-1 here, right? A couple of guys coming back from serious season-ending injuries. And one of them is, in a much different physical state than the other. So Chris Godwin fractured his ankle last season. And Jamie, is it a different? I'm sorry, is it a different ankle that might put him on PUP right now, Jamie, or is it a different injury for Godwin?
No, same ankle.
It's the same ankle. It's the same injury.
Yes,
I thought he had a different injury. All right.
He had a second procedure. They
yeah,
called
second surgery. Yes.
Okay, there we go. So you got Godwin, and you have Rashee Rice, who is coming back from a torn knee, but wasn't an ACL. But are you how worried are you about their performance, Chris Godwin and Rashee Rice? We wouldn't have to get into the suspension thing with Rashee Rice, but just when they're on the field, how good they are going to be.
Adam, great point. Here is a situation where we can actually read between the lines. Chris Godwin suffered a fracture dislocation, very, very serious injury on the field, but perfectly managed. But it was serious enough to have a second procedure to add stabilization. It's very analogous to an ACL reconstruction where they repair the ligament. The ligaments around his ankle had to be repaired and reconstructed. Now, even though he had a second surgery, while he's rehabbing, extended his contract. They know how well he is doing. Let's not forget that. So he's recovered well, doing great in preseason. However, they still might need a little bit more time. Do not be surprised if he starts the season on the PUP list to give him an extra 4 weeks of recovery. But that's an important, yes, serious injury, but they gave him an extension. They know exactly how well he's doing behind the scenes. Now, with Rice, interestingly enough, on replay, when he got injured last season, man, everyone was thinking ACL, including myself. But what was great news, probably the best bullet he could have dodged, it wasn't ACL, it was LCL, or the lateral collateral ligament, or the ligament on the outside of the knee. Now, guess what? That ligament is extremely elastic, extremely flexible, actually quite rare to ever require surgery. Usually heals quite well on its own. So it was repaired, a little wear and tear in the knee was all cleaned out, and he has progressed extremely well, able to attend all his team's OTAs and mini camps. And man, I fully expect another standout season. Why? The LCL, although a stabilizing ligament, is not the main stabilizer. So I will not expect any both short-term or long-term issues.
That's great. So that's your thoughts on Chris Godwin and Rashee Rice. Optimism there for Rashee Rice and his ability to stand out, as you said. All right, Jamie, go for it.
Yeah, Marty, Joe Mixon's a big one for us, just dealing with this foot injury that he was dealing with prior to training camp, was in a walking boot, and has clearly not recovered to the point where he can even practice at this point. So
Yeah.
Similar to, I would assume, based on what you said about Devon Achane, we're getting close to the season here. Do we expect Mixon to be ready to go for the start of the season? And could this be something that lingers for a guy that's also 29 years old?
Well, Jamie, it's a great question. At that position, the most unpredictable position in the NFL, being the running back. But the Texans are giving us tea leaves, man. They're not giving us so much news on this. They're just throwing out tea leaves that he has a foot and ankle injury. And that's all they're giving us. This close to the beginning of the season, I do not expect him to be available. At some point, they'll have to give us a little bit more details of what's happening, what he's dealing with. But any foot and ankle injury, just like are the running backs, right? Push off affected, acceleration affected, change of direction affected, right? And it's just, I don't have any faith that he'll be ready for week one.
Okay. What do you think about Matthew Stafford? This is a big one here, especially as it relates to Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams. Back injury, kind of returning to practice yesterday. A week later than we were promised, basically. So what are you thinking about Stafford right now?
Adam, that made me laugh, man. Kind of returning to practice. He showed up, right?
Yeah.
But the Rams, man, they got ahead of this story, man. They really did, because all we were getting is like murky news. But now we know what he was dealing with. He re-aggravated a herniated disc in his lumbar spine, or his low back. What does that mean? Well, the discs, right, are between the vertebrae in his back. And when those discs tear, they can put a significant amount of pressure on those nerves that come out of the spine. The greater the pressure on those nerves, the farther away the symptoms. Can cause severe pain right at the low back, but also severe pain and weakness down the leg. He actually was able to get an epidural injection to that side. What is that? Well, that's a steroid injection, very focused steroid injection around the nerve to decrease that pressure of inflammation on the nerve. And it seems to be helping him a great deal. Here is our problem. Age, number one. Two, only 3 weeks to get ready for for week one. That's just not enough. The data is very clear. You don't have a full preseason. Injury risk is quite high, especially at the quarterback level. But all those other offensive threats need him, right, to get up their fantasy numbers as well. But I'm fingers crossed. I'm very, very encouraged. He's back. 3 weeks left to get ready. But good news coming out of LA.
All right. So you kind of trending in the optimistic direction with Stafford in terms of just being able to make it through the season. I guess how, on a scale of 1 to 10, how worried are you about Stafford holding up?
I'm going to give him a 4, and I am quite the optimistic person based on his age and injury history. My issue is if he does get re-injured. Remember, he doesn't have the full training camp. If he does get re-injured, he's going to be out 4 to 6 weeks, right?
Okay.
But interesting, these quarterbacks with high football IQ, man, they find ways to just avoid getting hits somehow, some way. It's like the Matrix.
Jamie, you want to ask about, we've got some injured wide receivers that we need to know about.
Yes. And maybe we can touch on this with Marty. I know not prepared, but we just got news that Jalen McMillan's neck injury could be pretty bad, and they expect him to miss some time. Todd Bowles just said that. In regards to Malik Nabers, obviously somebody that we're very interested in, and fantasy managers and NFL fans, dealing with 3 separate injuries right now. Has the toe injury, which could be the most problematic, has the shoulder injury that seems to be okay, but now he has a back injury that apparently he's managing. So of those 3 injuries, Marty, which one concerns you the most? And is he going to have any issue at some point during the season based on recurrence, knowing that this toe problem apparently has been with him since college?
You know, Jamie, I'm more concerned about how many injuries you mentioned in that introduction, right? He's such a young career, and that chronic turf toe, without question, is a main issue, main concern, because that's the push off. Any sharp pain of that large toe, right? You lose all power, you lose all explosiveness. Less concerned with the shoulder unless he falls on it abruptly, and less concerns about his back tightness recently, which is also, I think, well, won't be much of an issue. But I'm concerned with longevity, availability, and efficiency moving forward. He just is injury prone. So I'm concerned that he'll miss, 2 weeks here, 2 weeks there, right? It's just, it's really unfortunate that he's had such a career with these injury blemishes. The turf toe can be a serious, serious issue and knock him out for a full season if he does require surgery.
So would you say you're more concerned about Nabers' injury status right now than Justin Jefferson? And I'll throw one more guy, Tyreek Hill. Where are they compared to Nabers?
Oh, well, Justin Jefferson, you just never, ever count him out, right? He has a hamstring strain, but minor, compared to 2 years ago was the opposite hamstring, where he missed 8 weeks. The reason I don't count him out is he knows how to take care of his body, and the Vikings medical staff know how to take these hamstring tears very conservatively. I am not concerned at all with Justin Jefferson. I expect him to be cleared to play in week one, but at most maybe an extra week of rest. Zero concerns, Justin Jefferson. Many more concerns with Malik Nabers. Why? Because of that injury history. Now, Tyreek Hill, also interesting because he's an absolute beast and has played through a lot of injuries. Here's our issue there. He has an oblique tear, an oblique strain, which is on the side of the rib cage. Extremely painful for an athlete that constantly changes direction with the rotation and the explosiveness. And of course, can get re-injured easily from some kind of impact. And earlier in the year, in May of this year, had a wrist surgery from a wrist injury from the previous season. That has progressed extremely well and catching the football quite well now. Less concerns with him, especially if Tua stays healthy. I expect his target volume to also to go up as well. I expect some good things from Tyreek Hill this year. I really, really do. He spent a lot of time taking care of himself. So good things there. And I'm most concerned about Nabers because all those things we mentioned, man.
Marty, I know not all ACL tears are the same. It is sort of fascinating that you have Stefon Diggs, who tore his ACL in, I think it was week 8, and he's back ready to go for the Patriots. And Brandon Aiyuk, I know, his ACL and MCL suffered his knee injury in week 6. Just in general, with those injuries, especially to the knee and for a wide receiver, for those guys, one coming back and able to participate through everything in training camp and practice like Diggs, and in the case of Aiyuk, most likely, according to Kyle Shanahan, could open the season on the PUP list. Just if you, in general, just speak to how different those potential recoveries are because of how unique, not unique, but how different those knee injuries can be for certain players.
What I think people don't realize is, in the event there's an injury, let's call this ACL injury. Well, when the surgeon goes in, he's getting a bird's eye view of all the history and tear on the knee at that moment in time, right? So you can go in and see a perfectly healthy knee, just the ACL, or he could see, wow, there's a lot of things going on from years and years of play and wear, right? So I think that's part of the issue, without question. Also, the position the athlete plays and what's required and demands of that position, and that's why sometimes recoveries are all over the place. We do like 8 months to 10 months to get back to full participation, right? And if someone is slightly behind that, right, that's okay. Why? Because it's really a marathon, not a sprint. And long-term health finally is part of the zeitgeist of every NFL team now. They're really taking care of their athletes, thinking about them long-term, realizing they are a brand and we need them for the long term. So I'm excited for both of those players. They've worked very hard in the offseason. And as we know, the ACL reconstruction is no longer a career-ending or injury. It's you can come back. I've always reported the same way on these types of surgeries: Achilles, ACL, a rotator cuff repair. They're nothing short of opportunities, right? An opportunity to get your mind straight, an opportunity to get your body straight, a year almost away from the brutality of football. Nothing short of an opportunity. Early on, it's chaos, right? What's going to happen? But once you get all the little pieces in place and your team placed, man, opportunity to get fitter, stronger, and better than ever.
Oh man, if I get hurt, I'm going to your practice. You inspire me up to get my rehab.
Oh man,
dude.
because that's day one, man. Adam, that is day one. We have to clear the smoke, yes, and lay it out. Right.
Mhm.
This is what we're going to do, and we're going to do it together. And guaranteed, you can come fitter, stronger than ever.
Love it. Marty Jaramillo, thank you so much for coming on, and we'll talk to you soon.
I'll see you guys down the road, man. Have a great season.
We sure will. Appreciate it, man.
Well, let's react to Marty first, because that Achane statement was pretty scary, to say the least. If he's going to miss the start of the season, so I think we just make something clear. Marty is not treating these players. Marty is giving his opinion on these players. It's not like they're patients of his. So when he's giving these, opinions, it's from afar. He's very valid, as we found out last year. He was optimistic on Joe Burrow coming back, for example, and he came back and was a monster. So it's scary when you hear could miss the start of the season.
Missed the first 3 games. Yeah. Wouldn't be surprised if we missed the start of the season. Wouldn't be surprised if we're 3 games. Yeah. It's all right. It's because this is an injury where he basically was saying there's a big chance for re-injury if you rush it back. So we'll be cautious. I think it makes sense to take Achane in the second round. But even if he missed 2 games, I still think second round could be really good value. We think he's gonna perform like an elite player when he's healthy. What do you do in terms of Gordon and Jalen Wright?
I still think, based on what they've shown us, that Jalen Wright is the second guy up. There was at least one South Florida media member, Chris Perkins of the South Florida Sun Sentinel, suggesting that Ollie Gordon should be the number 2 guy. Now, Mike McDaniel sort of indicated they want their rookies to earn their spots. So we'll see if this is going to be something that goes into the season. We have games. It'll probably be a split. I still think Jalen Wright's profile fits the Dolphins as a speed guy and somebody that can, work in the passing game. But I think at this point, you're taking late round darts on either one.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what would happen if they played their starters again, just because we did have Jalen Wright fumbling in that second preseason game.